brings us to our last subject. It's a subject that's very near and dear to me and Bill's heart.
Not really,
but, but hey,
we'd like to take a moment to talk to you about the environment.
Okay. Mitchell, you're gonna have to bear with us for a little bit. So, okay.
Okay, this is not us ranting or anything. This is us being truthful with the way things are, how they should be, and the ignorance and stupidity of just general people.
Let me start off before I let you roll. Let me say this real quick. I believe that the people who are watching this video, most of you out there, are very intelligent, very warm, very smart people. I'm very humbled to be here with two guys who are also very intelligent, very smart. You know, my cousin, who I drive crazy sometimes, but I appreciate him. My friend Mitch, who's
and of course all of you people out there.
And all you people out there, you're very smart, you're very intelligent, you're very good people.
Especially like the regulars that watch our show, we don't care what you watch. You can watch anything. I'm sure you guys are all intelligent people.
Now, here's what I'm saying. I have a public service announcement to make. Friends, don't let friends become fanboys. In this world, there are fans, and then there's fanboys. Fanboys have got to go. The reason I say that is I'll hand it over to Will.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I guess you could say it really starts with this whole war between DC and Marvel. The superficial, one's better than the other one sucks, sort of stupidity. And I guess you could say it started back when what's his name became the head of Marvel.
Joe Quesada in the 90s became like the head of Marvel, and it was at this time where Marvel and DC were kind of working together. They did like the Allegram. Well, they did this whole crossover series.
Yeah, they also had like the Marvel versus DC fan involvement.
Yeah. Well, he came into play and he started building up this invisible wall between Marvel and DC, and he said this too on the Daredevil DVD
special features,
extra features. And I have that DVD.
I have the DVD too.
Yes, where he said, when I was a kid, man, it was just one or the other. You were either a Marvel fan or you were a DC fan.
Where did he grow up? Because nowhere in my childhood or anywhere that I knew was there such a separation.
Now, it's more than natural to favor one over the other.
That's fine.
Like I said, it's very obvious that me and Will, we're both DC fans. We favor DC. But we also are Marvel fans. We also like...
Big Marvel fans, not just Marvel. Yeah, we really like Marvel. We liked all of the stories in Marvel.
That, which is very, very normal. So that's kind of where that whole started. My whole thing was, I thought the same thing. That, there's no one who really is like that. Until I get online... And we run
the internet is a fun place.
And we run... Now listen, we're not usually someone who goes around and calling people out. You know, when haters hate, we just kind of ignore them. But every once in a while, you run into someone who's really special kind of stupid.
Oh my gosh.
I'll hand it back to Bill.
Now, on one hand, now when it comes to Marvel, we're big fans. Like, when the Civil War was happening, we were all over that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Maria Hill.
Maria Hill, World War Hulk, yeah, all those major storylines.
Yeah, so we definitely know what's up. Now, this has to do with our amazing Spider-Man 2 video game review, which we did when the game came out about 5 or 6 months ago. There's this one guy who, to this day, will not stop. Now, we do not feel the need to block many people, unless they're really slandering or pulling out hate speech or really racist or really terrible stuff that nobody needs to see in here. But when you have a difference of opinion or when you have thoughts, we don't mind approving those comments to let people see them, because we don't mind getting into debates as long as they're clean. But then you got some people who feel the need to start a war because, I don't know, they've got nothing better to do. Or, as it's been known, some people are just terrible people. You don't know why. They can't be reasoned with. There's no rhyme or reason as to what they do. But for some reason, I just indulge it sometimes. And there's this one YouTuber named Wade Wilson hiding behind the Deadpool persona. Doesn't use his real name, but we did. Yeah, we probably just blew his mind that we knew that Wade Wilson means Deadpool. Those DC fans know Wade Wilson is Deadpool? Impossible! But yeah, that just goes to say, like, Wade Wilson on YouTube, and it's not a joke account where he's trying to be Deadpool or anything. Like, there's nothing on this guy's channel. But he went out of his way to this day, still does. Like, 6 months later, like, you kind of wonder, does this guy have a life outside of ours? Because he just doesn't stop. That DC fanboys have no right to review or play anything Marvel-related.
He actually said this.
Not kidding.
DC fans, that only a Marvel fan has the right to review a Marvel product. Now, I want that to sink in for a moment. Well, first of all, jackass, if only a Marvel fan can review a Marvel game, well, guess what? We qualify because we are Marvel fans.
Yeah, there were a couple other people that were saying some of the same things. We won't bring their names up on the off chance that they just might have been ignorant fanboys caught in the heat of rage at that moment. But this guy has gone on for 5 months. So, like,
we wouldn't even bring it up if there was just... Now, look, he had a lot of problems with our technical reviews of the functions of the game. We'll get into that in just a moment, and that's fine. And we would have let that alone. But the fact that he had to bring that up, which is so childish and so incredibly ignorant, perpetuating this invisible war that doesn't exist, and to try to separate people that, oh, because you prefer one or the other, you know, because you prefer one, well, you have to hate the other. You know, oh, me and Will, we wear Batman, Superman shirts, so obviously we can't do anything with Marvel because this is war. This is war, man.
For the majority of that video, we wore Spider-Man shirts. Even though for 90% of it we wore Spider-Man shirts. We have done so many Marvel-related videos, like I even mentioned this a lot on that video, that we do not subscribe to that particular way of thinking, where we're either one or the other, because you can like both. We grew up in that age where it was fine to like both of them. Now, we know the cool and hip thing is to hate on things, and because that's cool. It's cool to be different and hate on something. But really kind of think about it. Do you want to be hip, or do you want to be right or accurate? Or
Well, that's why I say there's a difference between fans and fanboys. Now, fans are reasonable people who like things, and if they criticize something, they can handle it. A fanboy, like this idiot, is someone who just can't take any criticism at all of something that they love without flipping out and making all these personal attacks. That's why I say there's a difference between fans and fanboys.
Now, here were some of the complaints, and this one's a doozy.
No, let's go more into the complaints about the video.
The complaint was that we suck at the game. And this was constantly brought up, how much we sucked at the game. Almost in every comment, it was how much we sucked at the game. Now, I gotta tell you, we couldn't have sucked that bad if we beat it in one sitting. I beat it in one sitting in a couple of hours. I can't suck that bad, man. Yeah, like, you play one Spider-Man game, you virtually have played them all. And that led into the other complaint, was we openly admitted in the video that we didn't play The Amazing Spider-Man 1. That we just jumped into this one. And that our review is unfaithful, unbiased, and completely wrong, all because we don't know anything about the first game, therefore we have no say on the judgment or the plot or the story, and we don't get it. Now this is kind of my response to that in general. If this were Metal Gear Solid, or if this were Gears of War, or Uncharted, or anything else, yeah, you would be right. This is Spider-Man.
A movie tie-in.
A movie tie-in, a comic book series that is a worldwide phenomenon that has gone on for nearly 50 years. I don't need to play any other video game to know how this one works. Nobody does. You can play any Spider-Man game and know how it works. You know who the characters are. You know what the story's going to be, because it never changes. They're not going to change it all of a sudden and throw something that's completely unfaithful at you. out of fear that the fans of the original story are going to go ballistic. They might take liberties and or incorporate plots from the movie, but that being said, then the movie should be enough. You don't need to play Amazing Spider-Man 1 to get Amazing Spider-Man 2. You don't need to play any Spider-Man game to get Spider-Man 2 if you were a fan of the comics or the movies. Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
You know, another thing, too, is that I will bet money that a lot of these people who say, a lot of these fanboys who say these things, never picked up a comic book in their life. That they become Marvel fans because they watch the movies. And because they watch the movies, well, they know everything about these characters.
Yeah, they think they're hip.
They think they're hip.
Spider-Man's first girlfriend was Mary Jane.
You actually had someone say to you, how did you get upset with you because you didn't get all emotional when Gwen Stacy died?
Yeah, it's like, how could you not get the feels when Gwen Stacy died? Nobody saw it coming. Huh?
I knew how it was.
Well, I felt because she's a better character than Mary Jane, but whatever.
Well, the thing about that is, how do you...
Oh, gee, if only I wasn't fanning myself with a reprint of the 70s comic.
How'd you know that Gwen Stacy dies? I read it in a comic.
Yeah, a comic book from 40 years ago.
But this just...
And it doesn't even happen the same way.
I mean, just this idiocy of, you know, is that where we've devolved down to in a fan base and on the internet where we're trying to build up these invisible walls? Like, all right, like whatever.
And these invisible rules.
And invisible rules, yeah, but it's just, it's it gets even better. I love it when people, and this happened, writes a paragraph long rant, smashing you. But you don't. But then they like block you and disable your ability to reply to them.
Like, oh, I showed him.
Yeah, I showed him. Yeah, you show that you have a yellow streak running down your back.
Oh, what? You're afraid of us responding to you?
Right.
You're afraid of our response?
So that's why I'm saying, like, people, like, listen, if you have a friend out there and he's showing signs of fanboyism, do him a favor, slap him in the face.
Oh, don't do that, but bring him to reality.
Oh, slap him in the face, because some of these people need a good slap.
But, yeah, like, we're not afraid to approve your mean comments, even if they're like a disagreement, because we're not afraid of you. We're not afraid to talk about something. We'll be nice. We're always nice. Like, you see our responses.
Unless you rattle our cage. Then we're
yeah, like you rattle our cage for 5 months and force us to make a response like this. But, like, you go in there and you see the responses. We're not mean. We don't shout slurring curse words and get down to that level. We'll respond in a reasonable manner and explain our situation.
Well, the reason why is because, well, we have lives outside of the of the World Wide Web.
Yeah, now going back to Amazing Spider-Man 2, the video game in general, was how they complained that we sucked at the game and that, like, how could you say this about such a great game? And, you know, I was just thinking, like, you know, compared to what I've heard and what I've been told and what I've read through facts, you guys should be very fortunate that we gave you such a neutral to positive review, because every other single review that I have seen absolutely destroyed and hated this game. So where do you guys get off picking on me for hating on a few qualities, but generally liking the overall product? Whereas everybody else absolutely hated it.
Quick one. On Metacritic, the Xbox 360 version.
Which we played, by the way.
Of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Guess how many positive reviews it got?
0. You want proof? Here's a picture. Here's the link.
You want the PlayStation 3 version of Spider-Man 2. For how many positive reviews it get?
1.
I like, what, 31? I mean, it's a positive... It was a positive review, but because we brought out the flaws in the game, all the fanboys can't handle it.
Yeah, like, even that Angry Joe guy who, again, like we say, that I don't really watch him, but when I saw that he did an Amazing Spider-Man 2 review, I was curious to see what he thought about it, considering that at the time we were kind of getting the responses like we didn't get the controls. Guess what? He pretty much pointed out the same damn things we did. And why isn't anybody bitching at him about it? He said the same, like when I had the problem climbing through the window trying to get through the fire, he practically showed the same footage and had that same problem. Yeah, why am I the one getting bitched at?
Mitch, what's your feelings on fans and fanboyism?
Okay, I am going to, no offense to you guys, sweep that conversation to the side.
All right.
And just talk about how I feel about those terms.
Hold on. Wait until we get there.
All right. Good?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes, go.
Okay, here's my feelings on just those terms in general. Fans are people who like certain things. That's what a fan is. Regardless of what it is, if you like something to a point where you find it very interesting and you look into it more than just a passing glance, you're a fan. You can be a fan of a director, you can be a fan of a movie series, you can be a fan of a book, you can be a fan of anything. A fanboy is, it is a derogatory term, and it applies to people who are fans of something, but they are fans to the point of irrationality. You can't point anything out to them about, if, one example I will use is the Screw Attacks Death Battle series. In particular, Superman versus Goku.
Good example.
On both sides were fanboys either gloating because Superman won or bitching because Goku lost. And I am the type of person where I can be disappointed if somebody lost, but if it was done in a very analytical and fair way, which is what Death Battle does really well, if Superman had lost and they explained it,
I'd buy it.
I'd buy it. There are situations. People have brought up situations where if this and this and this happened, Superman would lose. Yes, if those things could happen. However, it would have to go against the core, who the characters are or how smart they are or whatever, and that doesn't apply just to that. That applies to everything. I mean, there are.
Basically, the fanboy, what it comes down to is that being so much of a fan of something that you will overlook the flaws that are directly right in front of you.
I have a friend who loves the Star Wars prequels because he loves Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll point stuff out to him, and he'll be like, it wasn't a big of a problem. I'll be like, but what about that sand line? He's like, well, that doesn't really detract. I was like, yes, it does! I'm the type of person that can if somebody can explain something to me in a reasonable way. I mean, there are one of my favorite shows ever is CinemaSins, and they do great movies. He did Back to the Future, which is one of the best movies ever made. And there are major plot holes in Back to the Future and Terminator and Child's Play and all these movies that I love. They're still there, but, I still love those movies for what they are. But I do realize, why didn't Chucky run away when, he had killed Aunt Maggie and nobody was stopping him? It was just one of those things where it's just, there are problems.
Maybe he couldn't reach the doorknob.
And I can look at the flaws of something, and I can acknowledge when something isn't very good. I mean, that's why there's guilty pleasures, or even things where it's just people are what was one example? I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about Space Jam, and they were talking about how they absolutely loathed the new Looney Tunes show, which was a sitcom
Because it ruined Lola Bunny?
Yes. That's exactly what he said.
Oh.
He said they ruined Lola's character. She was such a strong character. I was like, no, she wasn't. She was a pair of boobs for Bugs Bunny to oogle at and get the men to play better. And he's like, well, she was a good player. I'm like, yeah, they're teaching young girls that in order to succeed in life, you need to A, have a very nice figure to make men do what you want them to do, and have to be good at things that men do. But he couldn't look past the fact that he had liked that so much, and he had liked Lola so much the way she was, that he automatically hates another show because it wasn't that character.
Ironically, because that Looney Tunes show, they actually gave her a character.
Yeah.
She actually now fits in the Looney Tune universe, so yeah.
Anyway,
she annoys the hell out of the other guy.
and anyway,
Yeah.
regardless of any specifics, fanboys can get very annoying, and I use that term as a derogatory term because that's what it is. It is not, you know, you can't look at something and say this is perfect beyond whatever, and I don't care what anybody else says, because then you just become ignorant
Yes.
and hate other things based solely on your love for one thing.
You listening, Wade Wilson?
This is education right here.
And I just find it very. I'm a very open-minded person, and
Yeah.
I find it very
You gotta be,
close-minded.
especially in our line of work. You have to be open-minded. You're not going to get anywhere being closed-minded.
Listen, of all the comics that we buy, we buy from DC, we buy them from Marvel, we buy them from Archie, IDW,
Dark Horse.
Why would you limit yourself to just one
Universe.
area? You know, you're missing out. Yeah, it's like what Bruce Lee was telling the little kid in Enter the Dragon. If you keep your eye on the moon, you miss all that heavenly glory. You're missing the whole thing.
Another specific instance was a friend of mine who is a bit of a Marvel fanboy, and I was talking to him about Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was an amazing movie. I thought it was really good. And you know, and I talked to him about it. I was like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy was really good. He's like, yeah, it was way better than those Batman movies. Huh? I told you. I was like, well, no, I still like Batman. He's like, but how can you like Batman and like Guardians of the Galaxy?
He actually
What?
said that
Yes,
to you?
he said that. He said, how can you like Batman when you liked Guardians of the Galaxy? And it's like, because I like the Batman movies.
Whoa. He actually said
He
that.
actually said that.
What is wrong with you, Marvel or DC fanboys? You can
How
like
can-
both.
How
And
can
I've had that on the other. I've
I
had
know.
that on the other.
Why,
on the other thing.
DC Marvel fanboy.
I've had that on the other side of it. You know,
Yeah.
you know, people asking me, you know, why do I like Superman, or why do I like this if I like Superman? Why don't you just like Superman? And it's just like, well, I don't just like Superman.
Because
I like
I'm
a lot
real,
of things.
Because I'm a real
I
human
mean, you know,
being.
it's weird. It does happen. It does appear to happen a lot with very rivalry things. I mean, you don't see people going, man, you can't review an Indiana Jones movie if you're only a Star Wars fan. I mean, that kind of shit doesn't really happen.
Right.
It does particularly happen a lot with stuff like My Little Pony or Marvel and DC, or something where there is a very already divided fan base, where people either hate it or they don't. And when that division has happened, I think that's where fanboys can arise from.
It also depends on upbringing too. I think.
I do too, and it's like another one of those things where it's like
The upbringing and their peers, like the peers, what they got them into, and what they had pretty much kind of had them believing and devoted to a long time, can also kind of influence their mind and decisions on what is better.
well, they just have this mindset of that whatever they like can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can bring up millions of examples when, you know, my heroes have done something that wasn't very good.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, like I can bring up one Spider-Man and the deal with the devil, Mephisto.
I already don't like Spider-Man. I honestly just think he's a bad character. But that's just me. You're probably going to get a flame war for that. I apologize.
Yeah.
All comments simply be directed at the re-reviewer at blablabla.com.
Yeah, we're trying to prove that we know what we like Marvel too. And
No, I do like Marvel.
Listen.
There are. I like both of them, and
I
to
love-
bring this back into the center.
I love X-Men. I've loved X-Men since the early 90s. I've loved X-Men. And that's, hell, one of my favorite Marvel characters is right here.
Archangel.
Archangel. I love Archangel.
Why, we don't know.
It's a Marvel character. Now, according to some of these morons, because I wear a Batman shirt, I should not be allowed. There's some rule that says that I'm not allowed to buy an X-Men comic.
That's just people being stupid.
Yeah, and you guys want to know something? Stan Lee. You want to know who his favorite superhero is?
Well, when he was a kid growing up?
Growing up, Superman.
Love Stan Lee. Stan Lee's such a great guy.
Yeah.
I know.
There's this little cartoon series that he's in. I forget. He keeps showing up as a cameo as himself because they keep doing like adaptations of Marvel.
Stan Lee is lobbying for a cameo in Batman vs Superman.
I hope he gets it.
That'd be awesome.
he has a cameo in Princess Diaries too.
He does.
But it was one of the things was he shows up in one of the Batman cartoons that they did. And then he pops out of window and he's like, "What are you doing here? I'm gonna call the cops." And then he just goes, "Oh, I shouldn't be here."
All right, now another example. John Romita Jr., who worked for Marvel for 50 years as an artist.
Well, not 50, but 20.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Not 50.
Sorry, John Romita.
20. Sorry,
You're not that old.
It's all right, kids. It's a common mistake.
Sorry. Yeah, John Romita Jr., who works for Marvel for 20 years and loves Marvel. He wanted to go over to DC, not because of a fanboyism or anything stupid, because he felt like drawing Superman comics.
Yes, he's now drawing. Yeah, that happens all the time, where writers and artists now go from one to the other. You know, and it's for the most part, I think for the majority of the company, it's more of a friendly kind of rivalry.
Yeah, like the
But
people
it's
who are
really-
inside
Yeah,
don't see it.
When you get online and you talk to the people, like that's when the fanboyism starts, and that's where the ignorance and stupidity happens, which is just so dumb.
Yeah, so friends don't let friends become fanboys. We stand firm on what we said about Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh, and you know what, Wade Wilson? Just because you pushed us to that point, just for you, we're going to review Deadpool. And we're going to review Amazing Spider-Man 1.
And dedicated to you.
I like Deadpool.
All for you, asshole.
Well, wow, we've been going on for a while, but
Next time on The View.
thank you so much, Will, for doing this with me, and thank you,
So,
Mitchell,
yeah.
for doing this too.
You're welcome.
So yeah, fanboys,
This
they're
has
out
been
there.
the Brotherhood of Gaming.
Yeah. We love Marvel, we love DC, we love Archie, we love Dark Horse, we love all nature in comics. Like we're neutral when it comes to our reviews. We always have been.
We always will be.
So keep on gaming, viewers. Love one another as a brother and a sister.
Now, Coca-Cola and Pepsi is an entire different
Oh yeah, no. If you love Pepsi, you could burn in hell. No,
You're an asshole.
Pepsi is the devil.
Later.